April 22nd, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. Here's what the chart looked like today. It was a really slow, choppy day. There was no economic data to really move the market, and I noticed like there were several areas where like measured legs were made really clean or almost. And if you look at the chart, so if you look at the pre-market highs and the pre-market lows, it shows that it moved maybe about like 52 points. But in actuality, it stayed pretty much within, I would say about 71.40 to about 71.65, so about 20 points. But even then, most of the time it stayed within kind of like a 10 to 15 point range. And it was just really slow price action. I didn't see too many trade setups, and I did take one trade, which was aggressive, but I saw a few other like almost trades. So I'm gonna get into setups right now. It's been kind of a weird week for me because I've been pretty busy, just offline that I wasn't able to trade yesterday. And so I did trade today, and I think tomorrow, hopefully nothing comes up, but I think there might be, I'm anticipating something's gonna come up that I have to take care of. So I was happy to get one trade and it was profitable. So in the pre-market, this is just really slow price action. It looks like it was a move up, break, test the high, comes back down. So it started moving up this, what I thought was this yellow trend line, and I later turned into a channel because initially I wasn't sure if the top of the channel was here and I treated this as a breakout, or as I did it later, I kind of extended up to this. So I actually had it down here initially, treated as a failed breakout. And when it came down here and it failed to break and it kept going, that's when I said, okay, there's probably no breakout there. So I kept it up here. So on the open of regular trading, it already looked like it moved two legs. This is just a choppy mess. So initially on the open, the candles are pretty much just side by side. There is a bearish bias because I drew this channel going down, but for the most part, this is just sideways. You could easily claim there's some kind of range here, or you could claim there's some kind of bearish bias, but it was just very ugly. Hits a low, bounces off this yellow up channel support, break, test the high, and you can already tell these candles are pretty much the same size, side by side, so it makes it very hard to find clean setups, or it makes it very hard to take clean setups. So it makes a localized high, comes back down. It looks like it was two legs up, and it looked like it was creating a triple test here, although it's not really, it didn't really quite touch here and didn't really quite touch here, but I thought there was some kind of region of support, and it looked like there was some kind of region of resistance here, especially when this third touch happened. Came down on what looks like this red down channel. Technically, you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long, but it just looks like it's one leg. So I just saw this as pretty much just one first entry long. But if you did do the technical count, there is a higher low here because it does break below the previous and closes pretty strongly. But I didn't like this as a trade just because it broke out of this yellow up channel. But the yellow up channel is so wide, it's hard to trust right now. I was thinking more along the lines of if this is one leg down, it might come back down and test the low, even though it created a higher low here. But then it gives you this failed second entry short. And I actually thought this was a possible trade because by the time this one reverses back up, I established that it might be in this trading range. So this is what I see in real time. And I'm thinking, okay, there's a higher low. It might be moving back into this really shallow yellow up channel. But more importantly, it looks like it's moving back into this range. So it pushes up, comes back down, and it gives you a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short. By the technical count, you could say it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. Technically, you have a higher low here, but you also have another higher low here. But nevertheless, I saw it as a failed second entry short. I like that this signal bar engulfs this guy. It did tick below, engulfs it completely, and closes at the high. There's enough room for a 1.5 point scalp or 6 ticks. So that's a possible trade. Pushes up and through. Kind of continues upward. It comes to this, makes a new high of day, comes back down, bounces off this yellow up channel again, which is nice. I wasn't so sure that this orange down channel was going to get tested low because it already broke to the low side. If you drew it differently, slightly bigger to capture no overshoot, then it might come back down and test the low, but it reversed pretty strongly. So technically, you have a first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long here, but it's a bad signal bar. So I don't really like that. And then you get a higher low here. The problem with this higher low is prices already made a new high, and it's the high of day. So I'm not super trusting of this higher low. So it pushes up, kind of gets really choppy. new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. I call this an almost trade because it wasn't the nicest setup. I wish this bar were at least closing like this one here with a close at the high, but it pulled back a little bit. Plus, it just came from a localized, well, actually, high of day, not even localized, because over here, the high of day is up here and you're coming from a localized high. So it feels a little bit safer, like there's more room to run. Whereas here, I don't know if prices are already exhausted from pushing to the making a new high of day. So it comes back down, bounces, breaks through the EMA. This is just noisy. It looks like it's one leg, maybe two choppy legs up, then another big choppy leg down. It bounces off this yellow up channel, which is really great because I trust this yellow up channel support a lot now. Now, whether this high is important or not, for me, it's not that important because whether it's here or here, I only have to be concerned about it if I'm in a trade or I'm looking for a trade and it's going to press up against it. But for me, since I'm looking to go long, I'm looking for more of the key entry points down here, which is confirmed on this yellow up channel support. Unfortunately, there's no trade setup here that I particularly like. It bounces, break of the green up channel, test the high, almost tests the high of day, then it reverses back down. So it comes back down again, bounces up, comes back down. It creates a triple test, but there's no trade here, even though it's a triple test. You could argue that maybe there's like a first entry long pullback, second entry long, and a triple test. But what made me a little bit sketched out or unsure of it was it's now broken out of this yellow up channel broken out from the bottom of the yellow up channel second time now. And prior to this green bar showing up, there was these two big red bars. Now, keep in mind that ATR for today was kind of floating around two to three. So this isn't really a big bar, but relatively speaking, in context, with respect to today, it's a pretty big bar because on any other day, this four and a quarter, and 3 3/4 bar would be considered really small when the candles are huge. But for today, they're really big. And this other candle here, although it's a triple test, I didn't really like that. I wanted a higher low. You get a higher low here, double bottom, but the first higher low is this guy. And you don't know it's a higher low yet until it's confirmed here. But now this bar is an inside bar. So that just kind of makes me think, okay, there's no trade here. It does chop sideways, comes back down. It creates potentially a fail breakout. So I'm thinking initially my channel, my range was higher up. I had it up high. Later I drew it down to here. So I was initially playing the red as the top of my range. So I'm expecting prices to move all the way back up. So it moves up one leg, pulls back, creates a second leg. Now keep in mind, I'm trading the high of the range up here. And this one, this was actually reversed. It was actually something like this. Had a smaller line drawn here, thinking there's potentially some kind of resistance, but I thought the one that really mattered was this one up here. So it almost touches the high, and this is actually where it sets up my first trade. It looks like it's two legs, but it didn't quite make it. This is aggressive, I'll admit, because I also saw it as a localized low, visual first entry short, pullback, second entry short. I was thinking the strength of this support plus prices wanting to hit the high of this range was strong enough to propel me for my quick 6-tick scalp, despite the fact that there's this red line resistance here, which I didn't really fully trust at the time because keep in mind I was keeping this top of the range resistance as the more important one. So I entered here because I like that this one engulfed this previous one. Well, actually didn't quite engulf it, but it moved one tick below, pushed all the way up, closed at the high. I watch it open, pull back a little bit, and then flush up. That's when I had my order right here, moving one tick. Pushes up. It's a little hard to see, but I got my 6-tick scalp right here. There's this little pink arrow, pink triangle right there. And in hindsight, if I had this fully established as like a potential resistance, I would have reduced the 6-tick scalp to probably just 1 point. Then I would have fully been confident it would have gotten out before I potentially saw this red line resistance. But I did go for 6 ticks. I was rewarded and it pushed up. So I do admit it was a little more aggressive. So it does push up and it does finally make the measured move right here. When it hit this, I wasn't so sure in real time that it was necessarily going to touch the high anymore because this measured move looked like it might have been completed. So whether it's going to come up and test the high or flush back down, I wasn't sure. So I was definitely not looking for a trade at that point. And I called the fail breakout because at that point, when it pushed back down, I reversed these. I moved this guy back down to here and moved this red one up to here because I changed my thought and how the prices were unfolding. And I thought this might be the range. It's fail breakout here, and then there's a fail breakout here. This high never got tested again. So I thought, okay, well, as prices moved, this is the range that's more important, this blue one. So it starts moving down, this orange down channel, creates another fail breakout, but this one's slightly lower than this one, pushes up, one leg up, pull back. Looks like it's made a second leg, but when it pulls back, it bounces off this support. And I thought this is another possible trade because there's multiple tests off this range support. Clearly there's some support here. There is some fail breakout. It is making a lower low. But also create a second entry long here, localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. The second entry long actually pokes below this guy and closes. And there's a visual failed second entry short. First entry short, pullback, second entry short. Now I was thinking this leg might want to see a second leg down. So this is the two legs up. When it came down here, this right here was the start of what I thought was going to be another of these orange legs down. Like it was going to create, there, you can see it here, this blue line. This is where I thought one leg was, and the measured move is actually a little bit lower initially. I thought, okay, it's going to come back down and create this one because there's already two attempts up. So it's now going to test this. When it fails and reverses, and it's a relatively small signal bar of only 8 ticks, I thought there was a possible trade here. What did spook me was the size of this candle. But all things considered, I think if I took the trade, I was a little bit more confident that this is going to hold. It would have been a decent trade. It would have pushed up at least for the 6 ticks I was looking for. I'm going to go ahead and push this guy back. So when it actually breaks and it goes up again, that's where I established that this is probably the second part of this orange down channel. And as you can see, it kind of pretty much makes it. So I was also thinking one leg up, pull back. This could have been the measured leg, but then when it went further, then I thought, okay, maybe there's two legs up here. As you can see, it didn't make it, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this for clarity. So then it pushes down this channel. I didn't really color it in because it's choppy. You got first entry long, second entry long, third entry long, but it also seems like it's just one big leg with breakout here. It's also localized low. First entry short, pullback, second entry short. The second entry short, I really wished that it didn't push so far down or it gave me a lower high around here. But the lower high shows up here and it's the wrong color. So there's no trade here now. Which is, it looks like it was creating some kind of support area here. Unfortunately, nothing's set up nicely. You could say visually it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, but it's just really spindly. I'm not a big fan of that. It's a localized low. First entry short, second entry short, second entry short failure, called an almost trade. Although it's bouncing off the EMA, as you can tell, looking to the left, the EMA is very, very much not useful right now because it's kind of highlighted by these dots. You can see prices are moving above and below, above and below. It's pretty much ignoring that the EMA is even there. So why would I give it any extra weighting that is going to act as a key entry point for a bounce? So I wouldn't have known this is going to happen. And by the time this closes up here, I wasn't sure, what was going to happen. Yes, the momentum's really strong, but it felt dicey. It looked like it moved a one leg pullback. This is the start of the second leg, about right here. Exceeds it, comes back down. First entry long, that's all you get. You have localized high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long. I wasn't really sure if there was this clean second entry long here because it looks like it was a break of this yellow up channel, broken, already tested the high. I did try to fit another channel here, but this one looks even worse. I'm going to go highlight the color. If this is the channel, it really only has second touch confirmation, and the high side is not really confirming anything. And the low side is really only a two touch confirmation. So I thought there was really no bigger channel. Knowing that, I just kind of felt like I wasn't clear on what was happening, so I left this alone. But it was something I saw in the real time that I had a hunch, but no justification for my hunch. It starts moving sideways. Looks like it's moving down this channel. I had this a little tighter initially, and then it broke out. But then even in here, there's no real second entry, clean second entries you could trust. pushes down to the bottom, makes a localized low, first entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short does fail on this candle, and it might be moving up this channel, but it was just very congested. And these candles were taking quite a long time, as it has been for this whole week. Well, maybe not yesterday, but this whole week, it's just been taking a long time to close. So I didn't really trust anything here. Then it pushes back down, break this orange channel, down channel, test the low, hits a localized support area, which doesn't really match up with any other low, except for maybe right here. But this just felt like a reach, trusting that this is like potentially a triple test when you clearly had a violation already. So this ended up being just a potential bounce point that really didn't amount to anything, in my opinion. So it pushes down, reverses back up. Looks like it's moving up this really big leg. You could argue there's a technical first entry short, second entry short, but this is nothing. This also looks like just one big leg up. This has slightly moved. Hits a localized high, first entry long pullback, maybe a second entry long here, but unfortunately there's a double top here. So technically this count resets and you have a first entry long. By the time you get a second entry long, it's over here and you have these dojis. So this just kind of makes it a little bit odd. Plus the time of day is too late in my opinion, to try to take anything. And even this late in the day, it was taking a really long time for these candles to print and close on a 2000 tick chart. So just knowing that I already had one trade for the day that was profitable, a bit aggressive, I decided, okay, well, just be very lucky and be happy that this read actually turned out okay, because in another way, this push up could have been claimed by traders that it has made the measured move. So even though it came down and reversed up, it could have just chopped around sideways and potentially moved back down. So this was aggressive and I was lucky on it. So kind of how I saw it. Hopefully tomorrow, if I'm able to trade, things kind of turns out a little bit easier, because today was just, yeah, it's really tight range from top to bottom and not very much volatility. So hopefully that was helpful.